Good evening, everyone. Chief Meteorologist Joel Fritsma here. Intro just randomly started playing again. That was weird. As I was saying, good evening, everyone. Chief Meteorologist Joel Fritsma here. With Michigan Storm Chasers, it is currently 9:23 p.m. A little bit of a different look here. I am currently away from my main computer. I had a little bit of a presentation to do tonight, so the background all looks a little bit different. We're on our old streaming software for the time being. We'll be back to our newer streaming software here next time you see us. So with that being said, we have a lot to go over, but also not that much at the same time. We have a severe weather risk for Thursday night into Friday morning, and then perhaps another severe risk Friday night, which is going to be kind of the main. And my intro still wants to keep playing here. I'm not sure why. We're going to go ahead and dive into the models and hope that the intro stops playing behind the scenes. So we're going to go ahead and dive into probably first Thursday night. There is a lot to go over in terms of severe weather on the way. Mouse is not having a great time right now. So we're going to go ahead and go over to the NAM NST, which is the NAM 3K. And we are in the Great Lakes region. And we have to watch out for our instability first and foremost. So the four main ingredients here to watch out for are our shear lift, instability, and moisture. As our mods like to say, why is the slim being shady? Looking into our Thursday evening, Friday morning time frame, all that CAPE out there that would be available is not going to be surface-based, meaning that any thunderstorms that do develop, as you can see here, if we go to most unstable layer or the mean layer, a lot of that instability is not surface-based but up elevated. So we could have some elevated hailers move in around daybreak Friday. So it'd be around 4 to about 8 a.m. And those storms would move through the state by around noon on Friday. So again, that main risk for Friday morning will be some smaller hail or perhaps some hail up to 1 inch in diameter. And then with any isolated storms, you could see a gusty wind or wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour as well. Not a tornado threat at all for Thursday into Friday. And that will be different when we talk about Friday night. We're also going to be looking at if I can find the actual simulated reflectivity here, you can kind of see how that system on Thursday forms over in Iowa. And then as it does, it moves across into Michigan. The NAM NST has been very, very bullish all day, I guess you could say, and the last couple of days in terms of showing actual precipitation. But we would be watching right around in here, this cluster right here. That'd be about 6 a.m. Kind of backfills in there as we get to the 10 a.m. and then into the noon. By the time that noon time frame comes through, the precipitation moves off to the east towards Ontario. Honestly, I could probably switch over to the HRRR. I don't believe it's 0Z out. 0Z is out. Okay, perfect. So that gives you a much better indication of what's to actually come. If we switch it back to the 18Z HRRR run here, you can kind of see that cluster much better. Again, this is 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., and then it looks like a couple miniature Boeing segments moving across the state, which would be indicative of perhaps a gusty wind threat on top of a isolated hail threat. And then as we move into 13Z, 14, 15, that'd be around 9 to 12 in the morning. So about lunchtime, everything will move out for your Thursday. And then as we move into Friday, we have a little bit of a break in the afternoon. And we will go into Friday, speaking of which a lot of witches there. We'll start by going over the SBC risk. So as you guys saw this afternoon, there was no change to the day 3 outlook at about 2 o'clock this afternoon. So that slight risk remains for areas south of US 10, primarily for the damaging wind and hail risk. We won't get actual probabilities from the SBC until tomorrow or to later tonight. The new day 2 outlook is released at 2 a.m. We'll have a post out about that probably first thing in the morning. And then again, as the day goes on tomorrow, we'll have our forecast packages released on the page. What our thoughts are in terms of the severe weather. So again, slight risk for tomorrow or for Friday. In terms of severe risk for Thursday, again, that's a general thunderstorm risk. That severe risk is off to the west. It kind of overlaps Thursday into Friday. The SBC risks ends at 8 a.m. every day. So this risk that you see here would be through 8 a.m. Friday morning. So it's kind of a borderline sort of thing for the SBC. I actually might end up doing this tomorrow where I actually combine the Thursday night into Friday risk with the Friday afternoon risk, because it's all going to be happening on Friday no matter what. So it's best to be prepared for both rounds on Friday no matter what. So a morning round and an evening round. Now let's go into the evening round a little bit. We'll go over to our lovely HRRR model run here. We'll go off the 18Z for now since the 0Z is not loading. The main thing that we're watching right now, I can tell you off the top of my head that everything is there in terms of shear lift, instability, and moisture. Those are, again, the four main ingredients for severe weather to happen. And the only thing that's going to be limiting is both the time and our capping inversion, which I mentioned earlier on the page, both yesterday and earlier today, designated by this color that you can see on your screen here. So the hotter the colors, so more towards the reds, the purples, and the maroons there, you can kind of see that is going to be your stronger capping inversion. Values of around minus 200, minus 300, even minus 400, which is a very strong cap. The cap starts to weaken once you get down towards zero. It'll be completely gone actually when you get to zero, but values underneath, so between 0 to minus 100 is a weaker cap. Right now, this 18Z run goes through 2 p.m. in the afternoon on Friday, so this gives you an idea of a cap that might be weakening off the HRRR. Again, this is the first time we're seeing the HRRR come into play because it only does the 48-hour time interval. So this is between now. The run was from actually 2 p.m. this afternoon through 2 p.m. Friday afternoon. So we can't see the full picture yet, but it gives you an idea that the cap actually might be weakening just a little bit earlier, especially when you compare it to the NAM, which I can assure you the NAM is very, very much different from the HRRR. I looked at the NAM actually tonight when I was presenting for Roxanne Township Fire Department. Shout out to those guys if they're watching tonight. I showed the capping inversion on the NAM. Now, the crazy thing about that is the NAM has always been late. I didn't expect it to be as late as it was when I actually saw it myself. But if the NAM is correct for whatever reason, it has storms breaking through the cap at 2 a.m. Take that into account, what you're seeing here on the HRRR. This is 2 p.m. in the afternoon on Friday. So that would be a 12-hour difference in our models between the HRRR and the NAM. So right now, a lot of different moving parts here between our two short-range models. We would also have to look at some of the other model runs, such as the FV3, which will also come into play, and the HRW, which will also come into play here within the next 12 hours. We're probably here at 10 o'clock. So again, we'll go over the model. I'm going to go over the models once we're done with this briefing here. And maybe if they roll in while I'm still doing the briefing, I'll kind of go over them as well, especially the 0Z HRRR run. I'm kind of curious to see that. But bottom line is that capping inversion is basically like a lid on the atmosphere. If there's a strong cap, it will prevent any storms from building up and becoming severe. If that cap breaks, or if the ground temperatures are very, very warm, then any surface-based parcel is going to lift all the way up and tap into that unstable cape. Hazards, I will go through this real quick. The main hazards are going to be damaging hail. That's going to be your top priority. Again, lapse rate is going to be very, very high, which means the change in temperature with height is higher than average. And then we also have damaging winds, which would be the secondary threat, and then a lower end tornado threat, although there is a lot of shear out there. So we're not ruling out if any storms, get isolated in nature. So again, capping inversion, main thing in place, shear lift, instability, moisture, all there. With that being said, we go into our outlooks. Speaking of which, so this is going to be for Thursday, again, on Facebook, if needed. You guys can see that, right? Okay, perfect. Yeah, you guys can see that. A limited risk in effect for portions of west central Michigan. Again, this is going to be your overnight threat into Friday morning for a low chance of a damaging wind or hail event as my computer completely freezes up here. Again, I wish I was on my main PC, but this is what we have. So again, a 1 to 5% chance of a damaging wind gust. It's a very, very low end risk for Friday morning. The tornado threat is, again, non-existent. When we go into our severe weather risk for Friday, that's when things look a little better in terms of actual overall severe between winds, hail, and tornadoes. This is the main map right here. You can see on your screen the kind of horizontal black lines that you see there is called a hatched area of significant severe. So not only is there a low and a medium risk in the green and the yellow, but anywhere you see those slashed yellow lines, it also means there's a significant risk, which means one of the hazards, so wind, hail, or tornadoes, has a 10% chance of being significant. What does that mean? Significant essentially means not on top of the, for example, if you look at the hail risk here, it's in the yellow, you see a 15 to 24% chance of seeing a damaging hail report on Friday. That that hatched area is also an additional 10% chance of seeing 2-inch hail. Those percentages do not combine. It's its own category essentially on top of the 15 to 24% chance of actual hail happening. So there's a 15 to 24% chance of damaging hail and a 10% chance that damaging hail is 2 inches in diameter. Otherwise, normal severe hail is going to be 1 inch or higher. Same thing can be said for the winds. There is a 15 to 24% chance of a damaging wind gust. If you want to think about it the other way, it's a 75 to 85% chance that it doesn't happen. Again, everything that we show you here is not hype. It is probability based. So a 15 to 24% chance that you see a damaging wind gust on Friday night. That hatched area indicates a 10% chance of also seeing a wind gust 75 miles per hour or higher. That, again, does not add on to the 15 to 24% chance. It's its own category. And then as we move into the tornado risk, again, the third, kind of the back end risk for Friday night, but a risk nonetheless, 3 to 4.9% chance in the brown, a 1 to 2.9% chance in the green. You might have noticed that we switched up our percentages a little bit. We gave a little bit more wiggle room to our medium range. We changed our brown category from 3 to 10 to 3 to 5. And we bumped our yellow from 10 to 19 to 5 to 14, as you can see on your screen. And then orange is now, instead of 20 to 34, 15 to instead of 20 to 34, it's 15 to 34 now. So kind of shifted the percentages around a little bit. So only a 3 to 5% chance that you see a tornado at your location within any storm that does fire, I should say. So essentially, yeah, that makes sense to me. 3 to 5% chance that you see a damaging or just a normal tornado. There's no hatched risk on the tornado threat. We'll have to see if things change in the next 24 hours, 12 hours by the time the forecast package comes out for tomorrow. But right now, I do not anticipate there being anything hatched. So we'll have to see what the HRRR run comes in as here soon. But other than that, if there's anything I missed, feel free to drop a comment. I haven't looked at the comments here yet. So appreciate you guys for tuning in so far. I'll go over to the comments now. There's 170 of them since I started. 1,000 of you guys watching. Perfect. So yeah, for Friday night, it's an all hazards risk if the cap can break, essentially. But yeah, little percent chance of a tornado. Will any cells be discrete? I will say the SBC mentioned that because of the parallel storm motions, a lot of the storms are going to turn into linear clusters. So kind of similar to what we've seen in the past with a lot of our systems in Michigan. But there's with the capping inversion out there's a chance for it to be somewhat discrete. But again, the main storm mode is going to be linear. Again, sorry for the late stream tonight. I was presenting over in Mulliken, Michigan. And shout out to Roxanne Township Fire Department for hosting me tonight. Super chat from Pacify. Had a heart attack, open heart bypass surgery 2 days ago. Love you guys. Hopefully you're feeling better, Pacify. Appreciate the support. Kendall with a 99 super chat. Did you get the present I sent you the sign? I hope you guys like it. Did you do an unboxing of it? We have not yet, Kendall. But thank you for the super chat. We'll get to it very soon. I believe Nick has it. Ashley back for month number 12, a whole year here at MSC as a member on YouTube. Thank you, Ashley. No problem for keeping you guys safe. don't understand the capping inversion. So the capping inversion is, to kind of sum it up, can I full screen myself here? So temperature as you go up in height is supposed to be, goes from warm to cold just straight up. Just a kind of a line that goes straight up like this. However, when you have a capping inversion, you get warm temperatures, and then you hit a spot in the atmosphere where that temperature is no longer cooling down. It stays stationary, or it gets warmer, and then eventually goes back to cool again. So warm air rises, as everyone knows. Basic science question there. Warm air can't pass that cap if it's a temperature that's stationary, or if it's a warmer layer in the atmosphere than the actual air parcel itself. So if it can go straight up, it'll tap into that cape that's above the capping inversion. And there's a lot of it out there. So we could see, again, some damaging hail if any storms do become rooted at the surface for your Friday night. So hopefully that kind of makes sense to you guys. If I could show you a CUT, I would, but it is a little complicated. So I will save that for maybe a lesson sometime. Summer back for month number 10, late night watch party. Probably not tonight, but I will consider it tomorrow night, especially when I'm going to be back in my studio when I have the full setup here. Again, I'm on one screen right now, so thank you guys for hanging in with me here and all the bugs so far. I do recommend a Midland weather radio if you want a way to receive alerts at your house. Midland weather radios are good because if the power goes out, you just have to buy batteries for it, but it is battery powered, so the radio will work if the power does go out. It's usually very loud, and tests are usually, it happened today for me, at least for, I think, the Grand Rapids area, is every Wednesday morning around 11:15 is when they test it, so that's how you know your alert goes off. I'm not sure what it's like for times for the other parts of the state, but usually does a test once a week, and if you hear the test, that's usually a good sign that your radio is working. Joel, it's time to shave the stash. It's my meteorology stash. Come on now. Is there a chance of the storms weakening Friday night? Thank you, Jay, for that question. Right now, looking at the average models right now, the cap seems to be the more favorable storm mode. So right now, as it stands, again, everything's probability based, but as it stands right now, the capping inversion is winning. So with the capping inversion winning, that essentially means storms are going to be very few and far in between. But we could easily see that switch if the HRRR run comes in, better off. Again, the HRRR run is usually one of our better models because it's short range and it's specific in short range. Hurricane. My dad just dropped my cat in here. So if you do not want severe weather, you're going to be rooting for that capping inversion. We also have to take into account that if the NAM is right, then we have a later start time. But I believe right now the NAM is just kind of off its rocker a little bit. One sec. You, come here. Come here. Everybody wants to see you. They haven't seen you in forever. Yeah. This is my cat, Hurricane. The one positive about being home is I get to see my cat. So, yeah. He's a orange tabby. He's about 12 pounds and very fluffy. Long-haired tabby. So, oh, full screen? One sec. It's okay. It's not very camera shy a little bit, right? He's grunting. Okay. You can let him out. Thank you. Anyways, back to back to the weather. We will actually go back to. I got cat hair in my mouth right now. We'll go back to the HRRR run, the 18Z, as long as it loads here. Please load. There we go. It looks like it has fully come in. So let's see what the mixed layer capping inversion looks like through the full cycle here. Perhaps. So that has the cap breaking by 4 to 5 o'clock. So that's way different than the NAM. We'll go ahead and look at our projected reflectivity here throughout the entire cycle. And fast forward through Thursday night, rainy night there in store up there in the UP, a couple showers and thunderstorms. And we have our morning stuff coming through here, which again could be severe. We're watching it closely. It looks like one linear segment crossing the state. It's a 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., and then out of the state by around 9 to 10 a.m. So a little bit earlier. So if you're on your way to work, especially in West Michigan early, expect a rainy to stormy drive in around 5 to 6 a.m., around 7 to 9 over towards Lansing and Detroit. And then the capping version shows it's breaking, but there's no showers actually developing here. So curious to see what a sounding looks like in this area. And there's just a very, very slight capping inversion there, but that is a pretty loaded sounding, I would have to say. Again, that area between the dashed line and the red line is your cape, which is your instability. It's a little different. Cap, cape, kind of the same thing. You can see your little inversion there. It's actually very, very dry up here too, because the temperature and the dew point line are very far apart. So not only do we have to look out for the capping inversion, but it also looks like a lot of dry air may be circulating in the mid-levels of the atmosphere too. But all things considered, again, that area of darkness between the dashed gray line you see here and the temperature line is available cape. So if that area is a lot bigger, then it's a lot more cape available. And we're looking at values close to 3,000 cape, which again, I will remind you guys that cape, for those who might not be familiar, measure instability. We look for values over 750 to 1,000. So we're seeing 3 times what we need, I guess you could say, for Friday night. But again, that cap and slight dry air advection is going to be kind of hindering some things a little bit. But it is HRRR is leaning more towards an earlier start at this time. So again, around 4 o'clock or later, if you have plans after 4 on Friday, I would just be on alert for now. And again, we'll see what the future model runs come in as here overnight. We'll get the 06Z and the 12Z by the time your forecast comes out for tomorrow. And again, I will remind you guys that we'll probably combine the two outlooks for Friday. So they'll cover both Friday morning and Friday evening. We can have as much cape as possible, but it doesn't really matter. A very, very warm surface temperature to break that cap. How warm would it be? How warm would it need to get on Friday to break the cap? Probably low to mid 80s to have a chance at an earlier development. Which I'll check the HRRR right now in terms of just overall temperature. Where's that? Surface temperature. So let's see what temperatures look like off the HRRR on Friday. The temperature's quite high, projecting near 80 in Kalamazoo, 81 Jackson, mid 80s over towards Detroit. So it'll be quite a scorcher there across the state. Dew point, let's see what the dew point says. Dew point, again, measure of moisture. Widespread dews in the mid 60s. So it really, essentially, this whole setup just needs some mid-level support in order for severe to happen. So that capping inversion is really the only thing holding us back, along with perhaps a later start time. But at this time, I don't believe that 2 a.m. is really realistic off the NAM. I believe it's going to be closer to 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. Aurora tonight. Haven't really been checking on Aurora. I've had a very busy day. Maybe Ryan can, if Ryan's watching, he can jump in here, maybe give an update on that. But I think CME hit during the peak sunlight hours today, so that was very kind of disappointing for our Aurora hunters there. The time will end Friday. It'll end Friday overnight. Friday. You'll be good by Saturday morning. Could be some lingering showers, but nothing severe. I see another question about Saturday and Sunday in here. Saturday and Sunday should be pretty free. No severe weather currently anticipated. There could be some to the south in Indiana and Ohio. We'll be watching. So some residual thunderstorms could make their way up on Saturday and Sunday, but not currently likely. Tyler with a $5 super chat. Do not get rid of the stash. There you go. Tyler with the winning chat there. Thank you, Tyler. Ryan is working on some back end things, so I'm kind of taking charge here on MSC page and operations. So I'll likely be your head in the studio on Friday night as well, unless something's like really, really close to me. But Ryan's still here. He's not fired or anything. He's our president. He's not going anywhere. There is a chance of tornadoes on Friday, but it is the number 3 threat behind damaging winds and especially hail. Answer a couple more questions here. Go over to our risk here for all, so you guys can see it. What you're looking at on your screen is the SBC risk and not our own in-house forecast. Can you make some merch featuring Hurricane? I'd buy it. I don't know. Maybe. We do have, if you guys are channel members here on YouTube, there's at least a sticker that you guys can use. But we've had a lot of requests for a bunch of different isolated merch on our store, and we usually put it out there and people don't usually buy it. So message us, I guess, if you really have a desire to buy it, and we'll put it up on our store. And our store is holicity.co. Yeah, we'll have a better idea for the risk tomorrow. The closer we get to the event, usually the better view we have on what's supposed to happen. Yeah, Rachel, we're looking at, especially off the latest HRRR, pretty dry in the mid-levels and fairly capped. Again, we're leaning more towards a capped environment for Friday as of right now. But again, things can change within 24 or 12 hours even. So we'll be closely monitoring. And just know that there's an all hazards threat possible if the cap erodes and the atmosphere becomes moist. Okay, Haley. Sounds good. He's probably watching right now. I probably saw your comment. Precipitation over the next 60 hours. Value at least an inch for most locations. A couple locations could get very close to 2. If anything, it's going to be up north in northern Michigan. But if we do have training showers and thunderstorms for whatever reason Friday night into Saturday, Then a couple of locations down by the border could also see between 1 inch and 2 inches, closer to the 2-inch range. I have a hot take on Tornado Alley. I'm gonna save it for a post sometime though. I saw that question in here. I'll save it for another time. Could be a couple linear clusters, Kendra, instead of one line. We'll see. Why does SBC have marginal down Lake Michigan? Again, Lake Michigan water temperatures right now are in the high 30s to 40 degrees. So any storms in the vicinity of Lake Michigan are going to have a tough time becoming surface-based. Once those storms get on shore, though, tap into some of those warmer temperatures, then they'll have a better chance at seeing severe weather, essentially. So that's probably the reasoning why they did that. Not that it really matters too much because there's no houses out there, but for marine. Winds will be out of the southwest. I'm thinking back to the photograph. Out of the southwest. Maybe out of the southwest. So almost out of the south, but primarily out of the southwest. Storm motions, though, are going to be off to the almost due east, a little bit off to the east-southeast. What is 3% chance for tornado mean? It means a 3% chance that any storm that does fire has a 3% chance of producing a tornado. It also means, if you think about the other way, it's a 97% chance that a tornado doesn't happen. So more often than not in Michigan, your odds of seeing a tornado are very slim. So again, if you have some sort of like maybe weather anxiety, you always want to think about it the other way, glass half full sort of method. So 97% chance that you don't see a tornado if you're in the brown, 97 to 95% chance. So no worries there. Again, with hail being the main threat on Friday, I would have to imagine, again, with lapse rates between 8 and 9 degrees Celsius. So we look at lapse rates usually around, for average severe weather, being 6.5 degrees Celsius. Again, apologies for everything being in degrees Celsius. Again, that's what we learned in college. But bottom line is 8 degrees Celsius and 8 to 9 degrees Celsius is what we're looking at for lapse rates on Friday. Those lapse rates are basically a change of temperature with height. So you have it cooling off a lot quicker than normal as you go up in the atmosphere. So that allows hail to formulate and get very large and then tumble down without much melting going on either. So we could see some hailstones. Again, we added that significant risk there on our own in-house graphic as a 10% chance to see some 2-inch hail. So we could see some hailstones up to 2 inches in diameter. That, again, is the primary threat right now for your Friday evening, with a damaging wind risk being secondary and the tornado risk being tertiary. One of the biggest tornado outbreaks was Palm Sunday, 1965, Matthew. Ryan's here in chat. Looks like Ryan's here on YouTube, everybody. Welcome in, Ryan. The black dot in the CSU learning model is the highest value, Hayden. So the highest chance within that 15 to 30% range or whatever it is. Storms firing in. So for those who are just tuning in, storms are supposed to come in multiple clusters throughout the day. So we have a morning round from about 4 or 5 a.m. through about 10 a.m. Friday morning. that'll be probably more on the lesser end of severe, but we'll see. More of a damaging hail risk with a low end wind risk. And then we get into the evening, which more of a capping inversion comes into place. So a lid that kind of keeps everything from not billowing up. However, that's an all hazards risk with, again, the primary risk being damaging hail, then winds, then tornadoes. And that those storms on Friday would likely be after 4 o'clock, just basing it off the HRRR run right now. Again, not putting my poker chips in the NAM run starting at 2 a.m. That's kind of very late. We'll see if the NAM corrects itself in the next couple runs. But again, right now, leaning more towards a 4 to 5 o'clock and later start for Friday night. Again, if the capping inversion can break. Any more questions? Oh, Ryan's on Facebook now. Hi, Ryan. Yeah, another bottom line is if you do not want severe weather, you're rooting for the capping inversion to stay in place. So it's a very conditional threat. So you have to understand that not everyone is going to see, you guys, especially here in chat, not everyone is going to see severe weather on Friday. It's just how it's going to be. It's a very conditional threat. It's the hardest threat to forecast is a capping, a severe risk with a capping inversion because it's literally a coin toss between everything happening and nothing happening at all. So please understand that what we released here is probability based. So as you can see here, the highest risk on your screen for wind and hail is a 15 to 24% chance. That also means that there's a 75 to 85% chance that nothing happens at all with the storms that do pass through your location, if any storms develop in the first place. So keep that in mind. It's not a slam dunk by any means, but probabilities are probabilities, and that's what a forecast is. It's what it all boils down to. I'll back it up to our main convective outlook here. Severe weather outlook. A lot of people cheering on the cap. It's awesome. Love to see it. Absolutely. Welcome in, Tammy. Is it like the one 2 weeks ago? I will say this is kind of set up. It's a mix of March 30th and April 2nd. It has kind of the same ingredients as April 2nd, but it's about 100. The warm front is about 150 miles north. It's up along I-96 now. So it'll be like that. And also like April 2nd because the timing as well. If it's too late, the storms fire too late, that instability will not be able to fuel the storms at all. March 30th being that any chance, I throw March 30th in here only for the tornado risk. If there's going to be any tornadoes on Friday night, not saying that there will be, but if any tornadoes will happen on Friday night, it'll likely be in the vicinity of the warm front again, kind of like what we saw on March 30th, where we had, 4 or 5 tornadoes within the vicinity of Kent County and surrounding counties. I know Muir had one. I think there's about 8 in total around Kent County. And then obviously you had a couple over on the east side of the state, also in the vicinity of the warm front, which if you remember on March 30th was kind of along that 96 corridor. So kind of similar to that warm front there. Not saying that this is a slam dunk tornado threat by any chance or by any means. Again, the main threat for Friday night is going to be your damaging hail risk. Again, hailstones between 1 inch and 2 inches in diameter, which could put some dents in your car if you do leave your car out on Friday night. So that's I will say that's the best way to prepare right now. If you know you're going to have like vehicles out Friday night, best to probably park them underneath like an awning or something to protect them. We have a whole A cheering section in here for the cap. This is awesome. If you guys do have any sort of weather anxiety, or if you just want to hang out with us in general, you guys can join our Discord server. It's discord.gg/Michigan Storm Chasers. We have a dedicated channel inside of our server for those with weather anxiety. Just make sure you press yes to answer the question of, do you have weather anxiety when you join? March 30th did not have a cap. No, none of those last two events didn't really have a cap at all. The March 30th event kind of was like a full-blown low-level craziness sort of day where there's a lot of low-level spin, but not a lot of like total spin. This event has a lot of total spin. But again, March 30th had no cap. April 2nd didn't have a cap either, but again, everything was shifted super far south. That warm front did not make it up into the state before the storms rolled through, essentially. So this is the first time we've really had a full-blown based on the capping inversion this year. So far this year. Any more questions here? I'll take a couple more here real quick, and then I'll pop off. I got some ketchup on my arm. It's very sad, but I'll clean it off when I'm done. We go over the HRRR 0Z one more time. Absolutely. I will go ahead and do that. As long as it loads. We'll look at the overall supercell composite. We won't go into the STP again. STP, which is significant 20-hour perimeter, again, with it being the tertiary threat. Not really something to really look at. But again, the supercell composite will have a better understanding of where just overall supercells could develop with more of an all-hazard threat. And zooming into Michigan Friday evening, you can see a lot of those reds there. Those are values well above 10, even closer to 20, 25. We haven't seen values like that yet on any of our model runs. But again, it's very, very dependent on that capping inversion. So if we go to an area where it says 23 for a supercell composite, that capping inversion is still there. A very, very good amount of low-level spin. So definitely an all-hazard threat. A lot of CAPE available. But you can see right there, there's that warm, very dry layer of atmosphere right there that is keeping those surface-based parcels from lifting into the atmosphere. So you can see down here at the surface, if that temperature line goes further to the right, so if we do get 80, 85 degrees for whatever reason on Friday, then that red line will start further to the right. And then as it cools off gradually, it'll be closer to where that capping inversion is, which means a lot more CAPE will be available, surface-based CAPE will be available, and more likely to break through that cap. Our lapse rates here are 8.2 degrees Celsius. So that, again, that would be a decent hail sounding, I would have to say. Again, CAPE values around 2,600. That will definitely get at least 1.5 inch diameter hail, I would have to imagine, as it will be probably the main threat. So that gives you an idea of how this whole supercell composite gives you an idea of how juiced the atmosphere is for your day on Friday. Again, all in the vicinity of that warm front. If we pull something for like the thumb region, for example, we'll probably see some like a similar story there. A little bit less of a capping inversion there with a lot more CAPE and lapse rates again around 8 degrees Celsius. So something to definitely be watching. It looks like the capping inversion is a little bit weaker on the HRRR, but I'm not going to go say like this is a slam dunk by any means yet. So 0Z right now shows a little bit of a weaker cap, but we'll probably know more. Again, we're doing a lot of model comparisons as well. We don't just base everything off the HRRR. We're going to be looking at the HRW. We're going to be looking at FE3, the RRFS. Even we'll look at the Canadian model as well, which is more of a long-range model, but we'll still take some of our long-range models into account to see how they are progressing for this event. Ryan, you do make a great point here in chat. Ryan's saying on Facebook, cold air after sunset will help break the cap along with stronger than forecast lift and stability. That is absolutely true, which is why we see that capping inversion break a lot quicker when we get towards sunset. So just to recap here, we do have 2 different time periods on Friday that we're looking out for severe weather to occur. We'll go switch it over to reflectivity to kind of give you a glimpse into how things might shake out. Again, you will want to kind of watch out for both Friday and Saturday. Or, sorry, Friday morning and Friday evening. My brain's all over the place. You have that severe weather happening on Thursday in Iowa, and then those storms move over in a less severe fashion, cross the lake into Friday morning around 5 a.m. in West Michigan, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. towards Detroit, and then out of the state by 9 a.m. Get through most of the day pretty clear. Some showers and thunderstorms develop up north towards the Straits and Mackinac, southern UP. And then we have to closely monitor any development here along the line in West Michigan here for your Friday evening, likely after 5 p.m. Again, not seeing anything in the HRRR yet, which is a very good sign. That could easily change in the model runs to come if they believe the capping version is a lot smaller than forecast, which already HRRR is starting to hint at that. But as you can see, even with a weak cap, it's still enough of a cap to pretty much negate any storm development whatsoever. So again, a very, very much a coin flip forecast, something that's not fun for us meteorologists here across the state, but we will definitely be watching avidly. And as always, when storms do go severe, we'll be here live covering it from beginning to end here on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and X. There's 4 ways to follow us. We recommend that you do subscribe or follow us on at least 2 of those platforms, so that way, in case one of the platforms goes down, is not working for the day, you can watch us on another platform. So we recommend YouTube. If you have YouTube, you can subscribe for free there, but Facebook is the best way as well. If you want the quickest delay, I will recommend Twitch TV. There's about a 5-second delay on Twitch TV. We are not streaming live on Twitch tonight due to the software that we're on our old streaming software. But when I get back to my apartment tomorrow, we'll be back on our newer software. And if you have not yet, or if you're just tuning in, we just went through the recap. You can go back at the end of the stream. You can watch the archived stream on our YouTube page as well. You just go click on the live tab. You can watch from the start. It'll be up for all of eternity, and you can play through at your own pace. So with that being said, we have our advertisers for the night. We do not have the Ryan's telling me Twitch is connected. Ryan, I will say to that, Twitch was logged out. So if you're listening. Anyways, going into our advertisers. I know there's some comments in here about Northern Lights. Ryan, if you want to answer the Northern Lights questions as well in chat, that'd be awesome. We have a bunch of advertisers here at MSC that helps our operations run smoothly. Again, what we do is not free, so we do appreciate our advertisers very, very much. I do not have the logos up on the screen because this is our old software, but I will read them off for you guys. Our premier sponsor for the day is On Top Roofing, based out of Livingston County. The number there is 810-588-3933. If you need any roofing and roofing replacement, roofing needs there, feel free to contact On Top Roofing. Again, that number is 810-588-3933. Reading through the list of our other sponsors here, I'll just go ahead and read through the list. We have Storm Guard Roofing Construction out of Detroit, FBI Buildings, which is a barn dominium company. Appreciate you guys for sponsoring us. We have Lifestyle Exteriors based out of Central Michigan. Pro Powder, powder coating details out of there in South Haven. Katz Roofing and Siding out of the Potterville area. Mike Hayes Roofing and Siding out of St. Clair and Sanilac County areas, I believe. We have Kuiper Tree Care, which is your West Michigan company based for tree removal and tree care needs. You have McKay Tree Specialists, which is based out of Oakland County. Gold Lake Tree Pro, based out of the Kalamazoo area, Gold Lake. Henkel's Tree Service in southern Michigan there in St. Joe County. Floor Coverings International, Michiana, out of the Michiana region. We have 3 new sponsors here recently joining the team. Schneider Commercial Business Solutions, Shield Public Adjusters, and Advanced Restoration, all based out of the Lansing and Macomb County regions. So again, thank you guys to our sponsors. Everyone can, if you have any business needs with these guys, we do highly recommend to contact them. You can also find the link to all our sponsors on our website. It's michiganstormchasers.com. If you heard any of those companies that you might need roofing done, some tree care done, those are all there for you guys to reach out to. So with that being said, if I'm forgetting anything, mods can let me know right now. Appreciate the mods for tuning in tonight. We love our mods. I know it's a little bit of a later stream tonight with on short notice, so appreciate you mods for tuning in and helping out. I promise tomorrow night will not be as late, but we'll be here tomorrow night with another briefing right here at MSC. So feel free to tune in then. If you haven't yet followed this page or followed our page, feel free to do that. If you haven't liked the stream, feel free to like it on the way out. We'll see you guys next time here at Michigan Storm Chasers. Stay tuned for more forecast posts as needed on our page. And yeah, we don't have an outro video tonight, so it's just going to cut off. We'll see you guys next time here at Michigan Storm Chasers. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow.